Savage Cinemas, and today we're going to look at a very cool scene. It is from the movie The A-Team. That's part of their Skyscraper assault. So when we're starting off, you figure the setup is action cards have been dealt, and so part of the plan is the team has to get into this skyscraper at a very high level, a very high floor. And we're going to kind of see how it plays out and then talk about sort of how the mechanics would come into play at the table. If you wanted to try something similar, or you weren't really sure how it would look. So let's go. All right, so right here is a really cool example of going on hold and then interrupting into someone else's action and using that chance to go forward before they do. So very classic when you're looking at something so simple as you make the agility test and you make the shooting test. And in this case, it could be very simple. You just say, hey, look, you're already in aim. Just make the test and you'll fire the round off before your teammate gets to the point where you've agreed upon, where you need to shatter through that window, pop the glass, which is hardened and very dense material that prevents people from throwing things through it. And then you get your teammate inside. So it's a really good example of kind of what it would mean to go on hold and then jump in there before someone. All right, awesome. Couple of flashbangs, and then the smoke that erupts from either just the chaos of the explosion, or you might have had a smoke grenade in there. It's A-Team. It's also Hollywood, so they don't get everything 100% correct, but it is what it is. So now you're creating a hazard of an environment. I mean, hazards don't really get played enough when it comes to things like this, especially when you're talking about tossing flashbangs, frags, or even smoke grenades into a contained environment. Yeah, the board space room is a little big, but now you've got this smoke and you're creating this hazard, and that's a suffocation hazard. Not to the extreme where you could die, but it's going to be one where you can start fatiguing out the extras that are in the room. All right, bag up the principal, toss it out. All right, so that's a very cool idea. Narratively, the plan is, hey, they're going to shoot. Could be on an auto open sleeve or a static line pull. It can be done. And that would require both, again, it's your teammate coming around in that helo with their piloting maneuver. And it could be a very tight turn, so that you may have a penalty to that piloting maneuver to make that incredibly tight turn. We also remember some of these vehicles are designed for that handling, right? That's part of the vehicle statistics and traits. So that bird flips around, then you're going to have to pull that cord as the principal is heading out the window, and then you got another piloting maneuver to sort of get in there and snag that chute without missing the chute. Again, very simple, very cool use of skills. I'd say it's more of a dramatic moment, but you can say it's a called shot at a very small area, and you're looking at like a -6 penalty to it. But if you were to say, because combat rounds move really fast, maybe that was taking the time to aim, get that bonus to aim, and then reduce that down to just a -2, and then maybe there's something else going on with the character. Who knows? More dramatic than I think skill. So on this one, you might use this as, so the villain is using the ROF, right? So you see that this villain may not have the rock and roll edge. There's a -2 to every shot, and that ROF for that platform is, let's say 3. So it's 3 shooting dice. If it's an enemy wild card, which we know it is, it's one of the primary villains of the movie, if I recall correctly. So we'll say they have a wild die. They still got that penalty to the rolls. And this is an example of where you're in action, you're taking all this, and perhaps you're trying to match the speed of someone descending. and that's going to apply a penalty to the shots as well. And for dropping the case, that might be that could be a narrative thing with Jim is says, hey, make this, okay, cool, you're also being shot at, and so some of these shots are close enough to you, but you're not actually in danger of being shaken or wounded. Or maybe it is shaken. Maybe that's part of the deal. Maybe the character, this is an example of being shaken but not wounded, and the GM says, hey, also make an agility test for this, and then, or you're going to drop that case. All right, again, so that's an example of using the using toughness and using the obstacles and using all those bonuses and how you go through something in Savage Worlds. And that's one of those things was like, can I actually punch through this? That was, a double tap coming in. That's enough damage, hopefully, to pop through. And it was in the movie, but it may not be. Sometimes you may roll low, but also you can use your bennies for that and to get that dramatic effect at the table and say, yeah, I'm going to go through this because it needs to happen, either for a cool factor or for, just because I need to get in there. A little bit of Aussie repelling. All right, we see that. It's another example of trying to hit that moving target. It's not something you really deal with too much in Savage Worlds. Normally, if someone runs, the penalty is on them. But now you've got something that's accelerating, and you're trying to hit that. And again, I would apply a negative modifier to not only are you at, say, medium range with that firearm, so you already got the penalty for range. Now you're trying to hit that moving target, and they're descending, and they're descending with gravity. And so there you go, and you're trying to keep up. Could you line a shot up? Yeah, you can, but it's also a little bit more difficult. Then on top of that, you got the recoil penalty. All right, so it's a very interesting thing with taking aim. It's one of those moments like maybe he took aim and then he opened fire on that. And then you're getting that bonus to the attack, so that would help out with that recoil. Not going to help out with the range, and then also the object is small, and that thing's like a -6 to the called shot. Small, but again, he's a villain, so he could just be throwing bennies left and right until it's going to make it, until he wants to make it happen. A little bit of drama. This is the old, you slam down, make that vigor, do some bumps and bruises, maybe rolls, get some fatigue setting in. That's insane because coming down without the proper gear, enough padding, you're going to burn right through that coat and you're going to burn right through his hands in a matter of seconds. But it's Hollywood and I digress. Continues to fire, and now he's firing again and using the rest of it. And that's interesting because you could have easily have asked the GM, hey, I'm heavy, my body slammed into this from high up. Can I have done some damage to it? Translate my fall, like half that, half of a fall damage into maybe that obstacle, that glass. And then I'm going to wrap it up with double tapping through the glass and then coming on through and then again hitting, trying to make some kind of athletics check to not slam down like this. So there it is. And then he comes on down. And so there we go. We're going to wrap it up for today. But again, hope you're enjoying these. We're going to keep going through these. We got a lot of examples of modern movies. We're going to do some fantasy, some science fiction. We've got some mass battle stuff to look at. But until next time, stay savage.